in the main deck.
Oh, this deck does care about a Mind Sensor.
We are...
Your Dream Halls is a Conflux combo deck?
Oh, it's the... Okay, right.
Yeah,
So that will really hinder the card Conflux.
Yes, which is kind of like the most important part of the... All right, here we are. And
so Kring, because of stuff, cards like Mind Sensor, he also has just the Show and Tell package. He's going to try to Show and Tell Dream Halls into play. Has Ancient Tomb, has, I believe, 4 Ancient Tomb, no City of Traders. So, but, from the get-go, we'll probably be trying to assemble something here. Yeah, once he gets the Dream Halls in play, typically they win on that turn.
Yes, very difficult to lose when you have the Dream Halls going.
So Josh Snider, cracking fetch land, going into a Savannah. Noble Hierarch or Mother of Runes probably soon to follow, and it's going to be... Looks like the Noble Hierarch passes back. Alright, a second draw. Both players here, I believe, are 2-0. Ancient Tomb, but no Show and Tell this turn. Which, that's got to be good for Snider. Remember, he doesn't Show and Tell Emrakul into play. He usually would Show and Tell the Dream Halls or possibly a Progenitus into play. He has 4 Progenitus in his deck. So when they go off, usually, so they play Conflux. I suppose if it happens, we'll get to see it happen. Eventually, he ends up setting up False Cure, Beacon of Immortality.
Yes. So,
second Noble Hierarch from Snider. The first Noble Hierarch crashes for 2. No other land for Joshua Snider. He almost has his Noble Hierarch.
David, though, unable to hit his land drop.
No, it was Waste. Yeah, and he was when Waste landed off blue by Snider. So Snider did have a land. He just wasted that. Kring with no more lands. As we know, he also doesn't have a Show and Tell, so Josh could be able to disrupt him here. Noble Knight of the Reliquary, and I'm pretty sure Josh at this point will continue to search up more wastelands. Draw by Kring at 16, but really just needs to get more lands to get back into this game. He is going to move to end step, discard Progenitus.
I don't like discarding Progenitus there. You just decrease your odds of drawing a land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty marginal odds at that point, but yeah,
it's relevant. Every percentage point counts, and I mean, is it really like?
It depends if there's other cards with actual utility in his hand, it's probably correct to do that. But if you're actually just discarding, it's possibly has a handful of a lot of cards that just don't matter. All right, and the third Noble Hierarch from Snider is just going to swing. Yeah, the Knight. Right, the Knight's going to stay back here and get a wasteland?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Noble Hierarch swings for 3, thanks to himself and all his buddies. Knight of the Reliquary is going to sacrifice the Savannah. And, yeah, Kring's already ready for it. And, yes, another wasteland. Kring now with no permanents on the battlefield.
Yeah, Joshua just ruining him.
Yeah,
laying him to waste.
Especially with that Knight on the board, I think it'll be very hard for Kring really to establish any sort of game. Joshua Snider has a full 4 wasteland, and I will probably continue proactively searching them up if Kring starts making land drops.
Kring does have 6 basic lands.
There you go. Lands. There's a land. There's one of his 6 basic lands, but
still a long way to go for him. And I think the clock is just too fast now. There's no way for him to win.
Yeah. Well, especially because
Josh has Mind Sensor in hand also.
Josh has Mind Sensor. So a fetch land could be devastating. Knight of the Reliquary is going to swing. It has 2 in the graveyard. So I believe it swings for 7. Kring with only 1 more turn. I don't see how he gets this. He'll instead Brainstorm. Though he doesn't have any Lotus Petals. Or any sort of,
Yeah, I don't think there's any way he can go off this turn.
No.
Oh, he can go... No, he can Ancient Tomb, Show and Tell.
He can, Ancient Tomb, Show and Tell the Dream Halls.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have it, he'll concede. Game 1 to Joshua Snider.
So, for those of you who are wondering, how does Dream Halls win?
Okay, there's a little bit of a chain you have to set up. So, Dream Halls turns every spell into a free pitch spell. Meaning, if you discard a card that shares a color with the card you want to cast, you can cast it for free by discarding, not necessarily by discarding that card. So we have 4 Conflux in the deck.
Conflux is all 5 colors. So I can discard anything I want
to cast Conflux.
Yeah, and then I can search my library for 5 different cards.
Yeah,
Correct?
Conflux is a tutor for 5 different cards, one of each color.
Yep.
So
One of those cards that I think I might get is Conflux.
I might get multiple Confluxes.
Yes.
So typically, your first Conflux, I mean, the quick answer is you can Conflux getting Conflux, False Cure, Beacon of Immortality.
Yep.
And then False Beacon of Immortality doubles a target player's life total. False Cure says if a player would gain life, they lose twice that much life instead, so you'd target your opponent.
Yeah, so I mean, normally what you're searching for some number of Force of Will.
You don't have to do that right. Yeah, you don't have to do False Cure Beacon right away. You'll probably, get a Force of Will, maybe some more Confluxes.
Yeah, and the other thing is that you can search for Progenituses,
Pitch to your
and those you can pitch to the Conflux, and they shuffle back into your deck, and then you can search for them again, meaning that you can loop your Conflux as many times as you want.
Right.
So you can basically search for all of your non-land cards.
Yes, you can draw your
and
whole
then
deck.
You can have like all of your forces, 4 forces, with all the blue cards you need to go off, and then with quad force, quad blue card in hand, you go false cure, and then you loop Beacon of Immortality.
Right. I mean, presumably the Force of Will fight happens over your first Conflux, because they have to fight over the first Conflux, because if it resolves, you get more Force of Wills. And yeah, the loop doesn't really stop. Kring will be able to get his whole deck. So kind of neat little trick.
That's why you search for Force of Wills with the first one.
Right.
If it resolves.
His backup plan,
like, oh,
sometimes
maybe,
Kring will show and tell a Progenitus into play. If he doesn't have the Dream Halls to show and tell into play, he'll just show and tell Progenitus.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good too.
It's actually somewhat funny. I've seen people playing against Dream Halls and their opponent cast Dream Halls, or cast Show and Tell, and they put in Aven Mind Sensor, thinking that this is going to help them out, and then the person just like flips over their card for Show and Tell, and it's Progenitus.
It's like, okay, well I will play the legendary Avatar Hydra. So out
Many
of the,
heads.
Many heads. Out of the board, Joshua Snider gets only a little more of hate cards. He gains a Gaddock Teague out of the board. A lot of his other cards that he can get are hate cards: Surgical Extraction, Bazooka Bog. Not overly relevant. So say you're Snider and your opponent is starting to Conflux out, and when he casts Conflux, after it resolves, you extract the Confluxes. Good, or is it too late?
It can be too late.
Okay. Right, because if he just gets the combo in the first place, especially since he knows he doesn't have to fear Force of Will, it only takes 1 Conflux to be lethal. So probably not a good plan. Really, the main plan here for him is just, I think it's just the Gaddock Teague out of the board. He still has 3 Thalia, 2 Aven Mind Sensor in the main deck.
And those are quite good here.
Definitely.
So, that's the thing, is Maverick's quite resilient. You're just playing things and attacking your opponent, but
I do like that one of the best decks in Legacy is turning out just to be, a green-white creatures deck. I think really, if you've been playing Magic, in the last few years, you've seen creatures just really get pushed, and I think, this deck like Maverick suddenly can exist, and that's really neat.
It's also a really interactive deck. The mirror is super, super skill intensive.
Right.
I don't know if you've played a Maverick mirror, but it's way more skill intensive than a creature mirror in Standard.
Seems to be, seems to be a lot of different angles to attack on.
I mean, it does get to play the Sylvan Library. It's a nice one.
Yeah. I do notice there's no... Tell me if this is typical. There's no Stoneforge Mystic in Josh Snider's deck.
That is very atypical.
Okay, yeah, maybe I should discuss that. He has 2 Umazawa's Jite. His creatures, Noble Hierarch, Mother of Runes, I believe Scrib Ranger, Thalia, Scavenging Ooze, Pride Mage, Mind Sensor, Knight of the Reliquary. No Stoneforge package in it. So
very surprising to me.
Out of the board, turn 2, we have Propaganda from David Kring. Looks like he's boarded that in. I'm not positive how much I like that card out of the board. It certainly seems to slow down Joshua. Is it high enough impact to dilute a combo deck for that?
I don't know.
I guess it will certainly slow down Joshua. Joshua still has... It looks like he still has a Swords to Plowshares in his deck. In his hand, too.
So he must not know what he's playing against right now.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think the conclusion there is, he doesn't know. And he'll waste the Ancient Tomb, make a Scavenging Ooze. Wasteland, I think Joshua's best weapon in this matchup.
Definitely.
Kring usually plays 4 Ancient Tombs. Some decks play cards like City of Traders. Kring does not. He just plays the Ancient Tombs, but that uncounterable. That was a double land destruction spell. Presumably, if Kring has a Dream Halls in hand, Joshua just dealt him a serious blow. So Brainstorm in here, the amazing power of Brainstorm with fetch lands can't be overstated. As it's basically, especially in a combo deck, that's basically like almost an Ancestral Recall he just cast there.
It's pretty absurd.
Kring may safely, at this point, just going to get islands. Unhinged and Unglued, both next to each other.
Very nice. I've always been an Unglued fan myself.
Josh keeping in Swords to Plowshares. I mean, he doesn't have too much to board in, but I think even the Swords come out just for, he has Fauna Shaman, Aethersworn Canonist. They're creatures. They're probably more relevant than the Swords. And he's going to cast... That is... I don't know the art on that. Looks like Preordain. Looks like an altered Preordain. But the fact that he scryed 2 to the bottom, I'm going to guess that it's Preordain.
Yes, one would assume. Joshua still has Maze of It in his deck also.
A lot of cards in his hand that really aren't doing much.
Yeah.
Scavenging Ooze is going to swing for 3, drops David Kring down to 14 life. Kring's going to have to get up to Show and Tell mana, or he has a long ways to go for Dream Hall mana.
Josh still has Mother of Ruins also. Yeah, Josh's deck is not well set up for this game too at all. If David loses this one, he...
Wasteland's a very strong card. You have to make sure that you can do something about Wasteland, though. And Kring will pass back the turn. Not really under threat of dying yet.
Oh, yeah, especially Propaganda in play really is nothing to worry about.
There's a Kasali Pride Mage, I believe, drawn by Joshua. Yeah, Swords to Plowshares, Maze of Ith. Another Noble Hierarch, so he might I think he has, with lack of a third land, he's going to cast Noble Hierarch. And then pay and swing for 4. So next turn, we probably will cast Pride Mage, pay and swing for 5, putting David on a 2-turn clock.
I don't know if there's going to be another turn.
That very fair. Very fair.
I highly doubt there will be another turn. After Brainstorm, Shuffle 2 away, Preordain.
Well, so you're expecting Tomb Dream Halls.
Intuition
here. All right. Intuition usually gets 3 copies of the same card. It's going to get Dream Halls. Which would suggest he has Dream Halls. I think he has an Ancient Tomb in his hand, or I would expect that he does. And show's about to begin.
Yes.
Joshua will choose to let him keep Dream Halls. Intuition, one of those cards that I feel like until they printed Gifts Ungiven to actually fix Intuition. It's one of those really cool sounding cards. I picked 3 cards. You get to let me have 1, the other 2 go away. Its use kind of is like a blue demonic tutor.
Yeah. Or with Lingering Souls to just be awesome.
Right. But I mean, it almost never finds It finds 3 of the same card.
Yes.
Almost every time.
Very rare. There are some situations where you get Loam, Double Wasteland, things like that.
Kring. Okay, so Show and Tell. All right, each player brings something to Show and Tell. Maybe a Mind Sensor from Joshua. That'd be pretty good. Kasali Pride Mage. Okay,
Not
Dream Halls is in play. But even no mana, not that it would matter.
Discard Brainstorm. Conflux.
Here we go.
So let's see what he decides to search for. I imagine there's going to be at least 1 Conflux.
I would just, Beacon of I just get the combo. Beacon of Immortality, False Cure,
No.
Progenitus, something else, and a Concession.
Yeah.
So in some matchups, I think what you're talking about, you can loop those Confluxes to get some really sweet hands. Against Maverick, just takes 1.
Yeah, you only need 1. That's good.
So going to game 3, I imagine Snider will be making some sideboard changes.
Dream Halls has art that looks like it was drawn by a 13-year-old. I've ever seen it. It's Volrath, drawn like it's done in your notebook during reading class.
So you're saying you're not a fan of the art?
The art? It's cool. I mean, it's terrible, but
No, I'm a fan of it. It's really bad, but no, I like his art.
It's like, I wonder what the medium of this art is. The 90s.
All right, so we have. I still think so. These games, I still think really favor David Kring in the matchup. Josh doesn't have too much in the sideboard for it. He would probably do he has a lot of dead cards to side out to turn into things that are essentially grizzly bears, which is okay. He does have some really good things to stick. Gaddock Teague. So say Snider resolves a Gaddock Teague. What does Kring have for that?
David Kring does have access to Echoing Truth postboard, but I don't know if he's going to bring that in. As far as Gaddock Teague goes, you can show and tell in your Dream Halls once that happens, but then you can't combo. So, he can just show and tell Progenitus into play.
He can show and tell Progenitus into play. He has 3 Echoing Truth in the board, which he almost certainly will get. The number for 3 is because he wants to be able to intuition for it.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing about the sideboard of intuition decks is, normally in Legacy you'll see sideboards that have tons of one-ups because, Brainstorm and Sylvan Library and all those things. Yeah, you don't really need 3 copies of a card. But if you're playing intuition in your deck, a lot of the time the intuition sideboards will be like 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. And it's kind of bad in a way, but in another way, it makes your deck like startlingly consistent.
Yeah.
And, Intuition's a powerful spell. I really do like the art on Intuition, though. Yeah. Is that Aurum or is that Cisse?
I believe it's Aurum who's having good intuition. I have to look at the art again, yeah. But I believe it's Aurum.
This piece of paper, I got a feeling about something.
Yeah. So what I really like about Legacy combo decks is there's so many, they all are approximately around the same speed. There's so many different angles. Dream Halls, not even, even among show and tell style decks, you'll see Dream Halls, you'll see Sneak and Show, you'll see Hive Mind decks. All, they're like, there's a lot to develop even just among decks that are show and tell decks.
It's pretty interesting. I think, what do you think is the most powerful of all the show and tell decks?
I do like this one an awful lot. I feel like it has less steps to win. I prefer it to a deck like Hive Mind. I would say almost just straight up prefer it to a Hive Mind deck. I think Dream Halls is my favorite of them.
I think Hive Mind is my favorite of them.
Okay, so why Hive Mind versus Dream Halls? Go.
Hive Mind is significantly more resilient to Gaddock Teague, specifically.
Sure, you can combo through a Gaddock Teague.
There are a lot of matchups which are seemingly like auto wins, and I don't want to say that, but they're very close to it if it's not for Gaddock Teague. Where, with Dream Halls and with Sneak and Show, there are games, like, there's a good percentage of games, and I understand that it's probably around like 5% of games where you
achieve your combo and don't win.
Yeah, you attack them with an Umbracal and lose.
Well, there's a problem. It's like they have a Caracas, and now you have to oh crap, Caracas.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is actually
a very common problem to occur
against Sneak Attack. Sneak Attack can get through that, right? You bounce my Emrakul. Okay, I'll put him right back into play. But against Show and Tell, maybe not so much. Here we've confirmed yes, it is Aurum on the art.
Nice.
Our Samite Guardian. Kring mulliganing. Snider's keeping on the play. Kring going down to 6 cards. Dream Hall is a kind of deck which mulligans pretty well. It only needs, to win, it only needs 4 cards. Land, Tomb, Dream Halls. Well, I guess, no, that doesn't win right away. You actually have to do something once you resolve the Dream Halls. So I guess with Dream Halls, there's a lot of pieces that actually have to come together before you don't just get to win.
Yeah, it's not as it's strange. I feel like Hive Mind is more consistent also.
Well, Hive Mind also is the thing where you have to find these pacts.
Yeah, Hive Mind's also faster though. Just in a vacuum.
How so? They both seem to be banking on on Show and Tell pretty hard.
You play rituals and stuff in Hive Mind.
Okay, which that's fair. All right. Yeah, Kring with a lot of
they are very
manipulation
similar
cards.
decks. They play
Yeah.
a very similar game.
Alright,
Josh
Kring
with
keeps on
a
6 with
Dryad
a
Arbor.
Dryad Arbor, not your favorite turn 1 play, but it's a turn 1 play. And, okay, this is preordained.
We know now.
Yeah. Is that it looks like an altered preordained, because I see the art sneaking up into the name box. I'm not sure what the alter is on it.
And now, because of the new IPG rulings...
Yeah, so actually...
Yeah, they're, it's at a judge's discretion whether or not...
Yeah.
Or is this some sort of special preordain?
I think it's an artist alter. I don't know what it's an alter of, but...
Okay.
But yeah, because the art's breaking out of the text box, which, isn't actually... It's not a normal thing. Okay, turn 2, Snider, cracking Windswept Heath.
Say Savannah.
We see, we really love to see a Gaddock Teague out of him here. That would be... He only has 1, so I guess that's quite a bit to ask. It's more of a turn 3 play off a Green Sun Zenith.
Please come to the side event stage.
This 2-drop is, it is...
Once again, $10 draft
See a
number
Kasali
1.
Pride
Please
Mage
come
in
to the
hand.
side event
Solid
stage.
Pride Mage, not too bad against David Kring.
It's a 3-3. Pride Mage into play.
I mean, it's a 3-3 with a pretty relevant ability.
Remember, there's always the worry here that Kring will just go Tomb, Show and Tell, Progenitus.
Yeah.
And that's the scarier part. I think I guess one of the things when you compare it to High Mind is like, he does have that. He does have a better plan B.
That's true.
But I think you're right that, Hive Mind's probably more consistent with the I kill you right now factor. The preordain, okay, that's the new preordain, there we go, out of Venser versus Koth. Just came out this last week.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
We got him?
Yeah. 4 damage off the Kasali Pride Mage. I'm a pretty big fan of the duel decks. I collect them all. I haven't actually played Venser versus Koth yet, but...
What's your favorite one so far?
The favorite good ones to play, I really like the game interaction. JSP Chandra is pretty fun as far as the interaction goes on in it. Mm-hmm. I would say that one's pretty good. Garruk versus Liliana, I actually really enjoy. And Elves versus Goblins, I would say, are probably like the ones to play that are the most fun. Mm-hmm. I like the ones where the 2 decks have very different game plans, and it's like very interesting as a result.
Yeah, I've played a good deal of Elspeth versus Tezzeret, and Elspeth is so much better than Tezzeret.
Elspeth is probably favored in that matchup, but they're both being played optimally. All right, we have a turn 3 draw from Kring. So facing down a pair of Kasali Pride Mages, that's not too threatening. I mean, it's a lot of damage. Kring drops to 14. That reeks of a show and tell.
That does reek of a show and tell.
Now, but if his show and tell is only for Progenitus, it's probably still not possible for Josh to race that.
Yeah, Progenitus swings for lots of damages really fast.
Well, he blocks the first turn, which actually is pretty relevant on this board.
You can block Progenitus.
No. Progenitus himself
Yes,
blocks.
Progenitus blocks. I agree.
All right. And we have, Engineered Plague out of him.
Meow.
Engineered Plague on kitty cats. Engineered Plague.
Naming Wizard?
Are there enough cats? That is a surprising... You mean Wizard. Okay, it's either on Wizards or Cats. Remember, Cloud Commanders are cat wizards.
They are cat wizards. Other wizards in the deck include...
That's a surprising sideboard choice. Mother of Runes, I believe, is a cleric.
She is a cleric.
Even Mind Sense.
Oh, we named Dryad. To kill the Dryad Arbor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
Should have seen that. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, why would you sign...
I don't know.
A wizard would also shut off even Mind Sensor. It's a bird wizard.
Okay.
But
he doesn't know he has Aven Mind Sensor. It's certainly not... If my opponent were playing on Maverick, I would not assume that he has main deck Aven Mind Sensors.
Definitely not. But post-sideboard, I mean, they could exist.
Right. I mean, I would more assume he had Stoneforge Mystics.
Which are also wizards, right? Or
they are artificers.
Artificers.
All right.
Okay. Core artificers. Yes.
Both creature types which are really hard to engineer Plague.
Yeah, Stoneforge is obviously not a wizard because I haven't
Riptide
Labbed it.
Alright, Knight of the Reliquary into play. So Kring drops to 10. At this point, show and tell for Progenitus, less... I'm not sure it's good enough. I think it might have to be Dream Halls now.
Yeah, and Joshua tapped himself out, kind of opened himself up here to...
I mean, he's playing green-white, you know. Alright, Propaganda.
That'll buy him some time.
It's a lot of time. One of the scary things of a combo deck is you don't want to dilute your deck too much. And I feel like Kring has done that to a degree.
Yeah,
you know,
I don't think you bring in Plague here. That's really aggressive.
You still want, the thing is your main deck has a very linear focus. I want to do X. I want to resolve Dream Halls. The Engineered Plague does not help resolve Dream Halls, does not find Dream Halls, does not cast Dream Halls, so it has to be very good for you to board it in.
I mean, he's definitely sided in a good number of these sideboard cards because
Right.
like he probably sided in all 3 propagandas and all 3 plagues if he sided in one of them.
Yeah.
Because that's how you sideboard with Dream Halls. Just a note, when you play Dream Halls, it's usually not good to sideboard in more than one of your sideboard cards because you'd end up diluting your deck too
a
much.
lot of combo decks do work that way. You want to sideboard in very, very high impact cards because really, it's often said if you're siding out more than 5 cards, you're doing it wrong. So Snider wants to attack with 2 things. He's going to blow up the propaganda, play Noble Hierarch, which actually doing that doesn't increase his damage any. Though actually, if I'm Snider, I probably spend this turn wastelanding away the Underground Sea.
Definitely.
But he's going to attack. I mean, what's your worry is that Kring is sitting on a hand with Dream Halls waiting on Ancient Tomb. You'd really like to make sure that doesn't happen. So that swing for 8. Okay. One
Now
more
Ancient
turn.
Tomb is no longer a problem.
All right. Actually, you know what? That's probably fair. There's no Lotus Petals in Dream Halls. Kring's got to find Show and Tell. And there's the match.
Yeah, that's it.
Kring does not find it. Joshua Snider wins 2-1 over David Kring playing Dream Halls, advances to 3-0.